Hello everybody, welcome to episode number 37 of my little podcast I like to call Driftless Knitting. This is a knitting podcast, a fiber podcast. It will eventually again be a spinning podcast. I haven't spun on my spinning wheel in a very long time, but it is one of my goals for the next couple of weeks to do a little bit of spinning, so hopefully that will be in the future. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry as well if you search for Driftless Knitting under the Groups tab. So welcome back to any longtime viewers. I hope that you are having a wonderful week so far, and I want to say a very special hello and thank you to anyone who is checking out my podcast for the first time. I really hope that you enjoy what you see. If you do, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. So we are here. Sorry about the very white blank background. Pretty much my entire apartment looks like this right now. For those of you who are friends with me on Facebook or who follow my Instagram stories, you will have found out recently that I am moving. So yes, I am leaving the Winona, Minnesota area, where I've been living for the last almost 10 years, I think. And it's bittersweet. I've known that I was leaving for over a month, I'd say a month or 2 months now. And I have gone through all of the emotions, as you can, expect when you're leaving a place that you love so much and that feels like home. But I think that this is a good move. We're going to be closer to our family, both of our families, Seaver and mine, and we will be able to be together full time again, which is really nice. For the past, 3 or 4 months, Seaver, my boyfriend, has been living at his parents' house while he has been commuting to a new job in Middleton, Wisconsin. And we got an apartment outside of Middleton. And for those of you who don't know the area, Middleton is just west of Madison. It's kind of all one big city, I would say. Madison has kind of swallowed up the Middleton area, and really it's all one big city. So he works on the west edge of Madison, and we have an apartment just west of that in a little town outside of the city, which I'm really happy about. I am not a city girl, and I wasn't really looking forward to living in a city, even though Madison, compared to some, is not as big as it could be. It still, for me, is big. So the fact that we live in a small town outside of the city, it's really only about a 10-minute drive in for him. And there's a lot of opportunities for me when I start applying for jobs. So, yeah, I think it's going to be good. I'm going to miss my friends so much. I'm going to miss Yarnology. I've been working there for about 6.5 years. It would have been my 7th year at the end of January of 2018. I had to do a little bit of math in my head. But yeah, so it's been a long time since I was in college, and I kind of worked my way up from just being a 1 or 2 day a week counter, checking people out at the counter, to teaching classes and co-managing and placing orders and making decisions. And I'm just so incredibly grateful for the opportunity to have been there that long. It was kind of a dream come true, and I feel like I've been living in a dream for the last almost 7 years. So to find something that's going to compare to that will be very hard. I don't expect anything to come close to pretty much the dream job for knitters, is to work in a yarn shop. And I will come visit. I will come visit all the time. I am planning to be back in the area. It's only like a 3-hour drive. I'll be back visiting friends. I'll come to the yarn shop and knit. I already know one weekend that I will be at the yarn shop at Yarnology, so a weekend in October. So I'll let you guys know that too, and if anyone wants to come and hang out in Winona, you can do that. So yeah, I'm excited, I'm scared, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm terrified, I'm all of the emotions all at once, over and over again. I'm really looking forward to kind of exploring the knitting culture of Madison, Wisconsin. And I know that Madison has one of the biggest knitting guilds in the country. It is definitely the oldest knitting guild in the country, that I know for sure. And I have every intention to join it. I know they do events, they have meetings, they do classes. I've never been a member of a knitting guild, though I have gone to a meeting at the Lacrosse Knitting Guild, which is a very good knitting guild. I'm not saying I didn't join it for, other reasons, but I'm usually busy on the night that they get together, and yeah, I just never joined it. So that's okay. So I know there's a couple of yarn shops in the area, there's some dyers that have studios in the area, and I cannot wait to explore all of that. If any of you have suggestions about fibery fun in and around the Madison area, please let me know. And I'm excited to start this new chapter of our lives together. It'll be good. So with that, there's been just a lot of upheaval in the apartment. We have most of our furniture moved out because Seaver is getting into the new apartment this upcoming Saturday. So we wanted to have most of the furniture moved in. I, however, am not moving down there until the beginning of September. So I will be here for another month, and I'm pretty much living bare bones, which is fine. I have my comfy chair, I have my little table, which is where my computer's resting right now. I have my knitting, my books, and yeah, I'll be good. I'll be fine. That's all I need, right? We have not moved my yarn stash yet. It is sitting in the corner over there. I'm looking at it right now. Let me tell you, I did not realize exactly how much yarn I had until you start trying to fit it in boxes and bins, and trying to minimize the amount of boxes and bins you have to use. I'm slightly ashamed. No, I shouldn't be ashamed of my stash. That's, because I love it all, and it makes me happy, and I get excited just looking at it, but yeah, it's a little embarrassing sometimes, especially when a non-knitter sees it and they look at you like you are a drug addict, pretty much. I'm a yarn addict. It's not as bad as all that, but still, whew. And then Seaver is looking at me like, really? And I was talking about going to my friend's new yarn shop in Lacrosse, downtown Lacrosse, which opened today, by the way. Congratulations, Carolyn and Kate. And I did go there. I will show you a little more later. And I was talking about going there and how I was going to have to, get something. And I really wanted this, this one thing. And he kind of gave me this look like, what, you don't have enough at home? That we're trying to move? So, yeah, that was funny. It didn't stop me, though. Of course not. So speaking of yarn, should we get on to the yarny part of the podcast? I've done quite a bit of knitting this week. Quite a lot of knitting this week, but the main thing that I would have loved to show you, I can't. And that is because it is the sweater that I was knitting for my nephew for his first birthday. I showed you the body of it last week. And had I started the sleeves yet? Yes. Yeah, I think I had. Oh, I knit like a lot of the sleeves, didn't I? Yeah, that's right. Okay, I had just attached the sleeves the last time I podcasted, and that night, and then Wednesday and Thursday, I knit like a crazy person. I stayed up late, I got up early, I went without food. No, just kidding, I did not go without food. But I knit a lot, and I got it done. I had to have it done by Friday because I needed to steam it and pack it up, and his first birthday party was on Saturday. And I was leaving Friday afternoon to go down to the farm, stay with Seaver, because it's like halfway, the farm's about halfway from Winona to my mom's house in Illinois. So we went down there, we stayed the night at the farm, and then Seaver and I drove down to Illinois on Saturday morning and had the party, which was so much fun. It was so good to see, like, all of my family was there. It was just wonderful. Ronan had a good time. He ate a lot of cake, which is expected for a first birthday party, and we all just, yeah, it was a blast. So I had that ready, I had it packed up and wrapped, and it was gorgeous, and everybody loved it, which is really fun to, have. My sister opened it, of course, because, Ronan can't, and everybody oohed and ahed and wanted to pass it around and look at it, and that's like the biggest compliment to a knitter. And my aunt, my Tante Margie, was there. She's a big knitter, and my Oma, and they both, looked at it and oohed and ahed, and it just makes you feel so good. As much as I don't want to, like, gloat or draw attention or feel like I'm I don't know, showing off, I guess, it is kind of fun when people look at the piece that has taken you so long, and you've put so much, like, love and time and effort into it, and they appreciate it, more than you could ask for. So it's a great feeling for knitting for other people. I love it. But anyway, so I will put up a couple of pictures here and show you how that looks completely finished. And that, again, was the Gramps cardigan by Kate Oates, and the yarn was Madeline Tosh DK in the Time colorway. And I cannot speak highly enough for that yarn. Everybody talks about Madeline Tosh, and I have to agree, it's lovely. I love it. Yep. Okay, so the second project that I've been working on a lot, mostly actually yesterday and today, because over the weekend it was so busy driving back and forth from Illinois, and Sunday we had to drive back to La Crescent, stop at the apartment. Seaver madly packed up most of the apartment. I helped him for a couple hours, but then I actually had to go into Winona to work, and him and his brother-in-law came in and loaded the entire apartment like that day. So I hadn't really put anything into boxes, labeled them, things like that. I had just started kind of getting things together and taking pictures off the walls and things like that. So we really packed up the majority of the apartment in like 6 hours, something like that. Us for about 3 hours, and then him and Adam for about another 3-4 hours. It was just crazy. So, yeah, so I didn't really knit at all on Sunday, and then Monday night I had a chance to knit last night, and then today, this morning, I knit a little bit. So with that said, I actually got quite a bit done on this, because I was only a few rows above where I was last week when I started knitting on it yesterday. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm not going to have too much to show on the podcast. Well, I forget really how quickly this grows, because this is, of course, my woven shawl by Casapinka. And this is I'm knitting off of a sock blank from Three Sisters Fiber Company. And I'm sorry, there's a window right here, and it's kind of blowing out my face and everything, but I think you can see the colors pretty well. We have some orangey yellows here that are really darkening into the red. Before it was a much lighter yellow. You can kind of see it with the gray. They kind of mix with the gray, and then it's turning into much more of an orange reddish color. And it has just been so much fun seeing how this knits up out of the sock blank, and there we have some red starting, which is exciting. Whenever it changes like a color significantly, like noticeably, it's just the most exciting thing. I think it's the same thing like for self-striping socks. You just kind of want to get to that next color change, that next stripe. And I feel that way about this sock blank. I just want to get to, you know, the yellow part, and then I want to get to where it kind of is blending in with the red. Now I really want to knit with the red and see how that comes out. So I really don't have too much left of this. I'm really excited. I started this on my vacation little less than a month ago, and or was it was about a month ago, I guess. It was towards the end of our vacation, and we got home on the 4th of July. So I did start this towards the end of that vacation and got a little bit of it done. I would say up to, it's getting really long, up to like here, so there's the point. And I probably got about this far, maybe this far while we were on vacation. I think it was just starting to show some of the blue. And then since then, over the last month, I have finished most of it, and it's gotten to be, you know, a really, really good length. And but I am glad that I have a little bit left so that I can just get a little bit more length to it. I think then it'll be a really good size. So I'm excited to be working on this and be very close to finishing. And yeah, this is my first sock blank project, so it's exciting. And it's dyed, I think I said who dyed it, but I'll repeat myself. It was dyed by Lisa of Three Sisters Fiber Company, who is in Winona, and she's also a yarnologist. She works at the shop. And I just keep like pulling this. It's so much fun to unravel these. It's kind of addicting in a way. You just want to keep going. Yeah. And this little progress keeper that you saw on there is from Carolyn of the Chain 344 podcast. And she is selling these at her new yarn shop that her and Kate, who is the other co-host of Chain 344. Wow, I can't talk. Okay, deep breath. And it's a little beer stein. There you go, you can see it now. So cute. But they're selling them at their yarn shop. So if you want one for yourself, you can go buy it there. So last night I had the urging to bring out a work in progress that I really haven't touched for a while now. With all of the deadline knitting, it just hasn't surfaced. So last night just felt like the perfect time to sit down and do something that would give me a little bit of instant gratification. Even though the project as a whole is going to take forever to make, one of these little bad boys is so quick. So this is my patchwork memory. I'm calling it my patchwork memory blanket. It just reminds me of those patchwork square quilts that people used to make. They probably still make them, but yeah. I don't make them, so I make a knitted one. So these two squares are two that you have not seen before. And technically I did this one a while ago. This is a Three Sisters Fiber Company yarn, this corner one, in the Who Put Sand in My Yarn. I almost said Who Put Yarn in My Sand. Who Put Sand in My Yarn colorway, which is the exclusively dyed colorway for Yarnology for summer 2017. And I designed a shawl and knit it out of this yarn, and the shawl is called Running Barefoot, if anyone is interested. And I had quite a bit left over of this yarn, so quite a bit. It was like probably enough to do 2 squares. So I did my 1 square, and I'll be probably sending out whatever's left on the next swap I do. So yeah, that one's really fun. And then last night I sat down and did this one here. So this is knit out of Malabrigo sock yarn in the Anniversario colorway. And I did a spiral blanket of awesome out of this yarn as a shop sample for Yarnology. And I actually have, I got 2 skeins of yarn for that. They look completely different because this colorway, I mean, Malabrigo is kind of notorious for having colorways that look similar, but they like gradually change as you go. Like if you bought a skein 5 years ago, that same exact colorway will probably look nothing like it does now. But this colorway, out of all the others, it does this all the time. In one batch, we will have 5 skeins that look completely different. So they all have like bright colors, purples and greens and pinks and blues, but some of them will be very dark like this one is. And some of them will be like hot pink and like acid green with just a little bit of blue and purple. And you're like, okay, that's the same colorway, I guess. So I actually have another skein of this and can do another square, and I guarantee you it won't look anything like this one. So yeah, it won't be a bad thing to repeat yarns in that case. So it's not growing very quickly, but it is growing, which is the main point. And this is only, right now it's only 6 squares across, as you see, but I'm going to probably double the length of this. I just didn't want a big long strip to start out with. I thought that would be kind of awkward to handle, so I'm going to kind of add, you know, a couple more rows onto it, and then add maybe 1 or 2 more squares on this side and do a column there. The fun thing about this blanket is that you can just kind of add squares where you want them to be. I could technically just keep going up on this side and then go over and add them, or, you know, yeah, there's just so much leeway to the construction of this. It's kind of fun. So I continually love this blanket so much, and I'm so glad that I got it out yesterday. It took me maybe an hour to do the square, and then I was able to set that aside and go on to something else. And the progress keeper that I have on there is from the Gnome Knitter, and it is her honeycomb, which I absolutely adore. She's having a trunk show soon, I guess, at a yarn shop in Idaho. And not that I actually considered driving to Idaho, but her stuff is amazing. Okay, can I venture and say that I almost like her stuff better than Sucre Miniatures? I know. Sucre Miniatures is supposed to be like the be-all and end-all of miniature polymer clay progress keepers and charms. But I don't know. I like the Gnome Knitter. I like them both. I have a few of Sucre Miniatures, Chelsea's progress keepers, and I do love them. But there's just something about Joanna's progress keepers that are just lovely to me. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Okay, that is about it for works in progress. I do have that one finished object again, the sweater, the Gramp sweater, but I can't show it to you. So I am going to move on to a few new friends that I've acquired over the last week. And I'm going to start out by saying I technically didn't really spend any of my own money. Okay, let me start over. So I was going through my stash as I was packing it up to move, and there were a few skeins of yarn that I had had for a really long time and I was looking at, and I just decided, while they're beautiful, I've kind of moved on from them. Does that make sense? Like, I had this one project in mind for some Malabrigo yarn, and I can't see myself ever making that at this point in my life. I bought it a little over a year ago, and I just don't think it would ever have happened. So I took that yarn, I brought it back to Yarnology, where we will, sell it. It's still beautiful. It's still skeined up. Obviously, I couldn't have brought it back if I had wound it into balls. And tags are on it. It's still beautiful, and I returned it for a little bit of store credit. And I think I did a couple other skeins as well, just kind of random intact skeins that I had added to my stash that I since had decided that I don't want to use them. So I traded them in. My very good friend Lisa, who is a fantastic, amazing yarn dyer, brought in a whole load of new yarn to Yarnology. And I have a weakness for Three Sisters Fiber Company yarn. And it's not just because I know Lisa, it really is because her yarn is just absolutely fabulous and gorgeous. And I was looking at these skeins and I just fell in love with them. And all of a sudden it clicked that they would be perfect to finish out my Find Your Fade. Yay! Okay, so let me show you my plan. So I have a Find Your Fade in blues and teals, and it's got some warmer shades of like orange and rust colors in it. Let me just show it to you here. I haven't worked on this in a long time, since I showed it to you the last time, but for purposes of explaining, I will get it out here. Okay, so my first color obviously is that like sea teal, sea green, and it goes into this beautiful color, again by Three Sisters Fiber Company, called Boat Houses. And then this color, which is by, guess who, Three Sisters Fiber Company. And this was in Oopsie skein. She had meant to over dye it to look like this, the boathouse, but never got to it, and found it on her shelf, and it just so happened to be perfect for my Find Your Fade. And then from there I have a Spun Right Round skein. I hope you can see all this because I can't actually see the camera. But this Spun Right Round, I forget what it's called, Dreamcatcher? Yes, Dreamcatcher. And so it still has some of the orangey and the teal, but it brings in that really light aqua as well. And then I've kind of waffled back and forth about different skeins of yarn to put in after this one. But I think I have decided to go back to the original idea, which was to use this sock blank, which goes from really dark blue into this light teal. And I'm going to start on this end because I want as much of the darker teal as possible to be in there. It's okay if it kind of starts getting into this section here, but and even, into the splotches of yellow. I think I'll only need about half of it. And that will come after the Spun Right Round. So you can see the Spun Right Round has some dark speckles in it of teal and this like purpley color, and I think that will go really well with this, and I'm doing a really bad job of showing you. So those two, this will fade out of that, and then this is where the new stuff comes in. Oh my goodness, I'm all tangled. I'll sort that out later. Here. See if I can. This is kind of the problem with sock blanks. They just, once you start pulling, they just sort of come apart. So, this is from Darn Yarn, Minnesota. From Chelsea of Darn Yarn. So I will have this kind of speckly, almost solid tonal teal. And from there, I will go into this gorgeous skein of yarn. Lisa, you have outdone yourself yet again. Look at that. I just cannot get over how beautiful that is. So it brings in the teals, that dark teal and even the light teal from the Spun Right Round, but then it has warmer tans and orangey browns, and I think that's going to look really good, kind of harkening back to those first skeins that I did that have a lot of warm tones to them. And then from there, I'm going to go into this. So obviously we have some brighter orange in this one, but it still has the tanny orangey browns. It has that beautiful teal, beautiful sea green base. You can't really see it because the window is blowing it out, but this, like behind this teal color, is not white. It's like a light minty foamy green. So these two, I think, will fade very well together, and I am very excited. So Lisa said she used the same like blue in here, in this one, so they have like the same blue in there, but she just did kind of fiddled with the tones and the intensity of them, and that tanny brown that's right there is kind of the same one that's there as well. So I'm very happy. I never felt quite settled on the last colors of my fade. I was so happy with the first like 4, I guess I'm up to, but after that I had some ideas. I was gonna, you know, I bought a skein at Shepherd's Harvest Fiber Festival to try and finish it, but I wasn't ever completely sold on it, I don't think. It was just, I felt like I needed to get something, and I needed to finish it, and I needed to, you know, yeah. But I'm so glad that I saw these, and that I had store credit, because when you return a bunch of yarn, you should buy a bunch of yarn. That's only logical. Yes. And I had a little bit left over, so I could not leave this one behind, guys. This is a special skein of yarn. Lisa does this thing where she doesn't always name her colorways. If the yarn colorway is inspired by something or automatically reminds her of something, she will, you know, name it after that. But if not, she doesn't really stress about having to find colorway names. She just puts down the day of the week she died and says, you know what, I was just inspired that day. This is what my creativity put forth on this day. And she dyed one, this beautiful, beautiful skein of purples and pinks and mauves and tan and gold. Oh, the camera does not do it justice. This was dyed on my birthday, so I had to get it. So it's July 10th of 2017. And I liked this colorway anyway. When I was hanging them up on the wall, I thought to myself, that is gorgeous. And then I was curious because this other one, let's see. This one is July 21st. The brighter one with the orange, the brighter orange. So that's July 21st, or 12th. I was looking at it upside down. Oh, hang on one second. Yep, bye. So sorry about that. We're trying to rent our apartment out, so I'm getting calls like all the time. Okay, so I think I was talking about Lisa's yarn and how she dates them. So that was July 12th. And then this one here is July 13th. She was obviously in the blue and orange mood, which I'm very happy about. So I was looking at these yarns and I thought to myself, okay, she was dying that week. I wonder if she dyed something on my birthday. And I was looking at all the tags and it just so happened to be this gorgeous thing. So I used the rest of my store credit to buy this one. And now I have 3 skeins of beautiful, beautiful sock yarn. The awesome thing about these two as well is that I will not need a full skein of yarn for the Find Your Fade for the end part. The last color I think like barely uses anything, so I'll have like 3/4 of a skein left of this one at least, and then maybe like half a skein of this. So these can definitely become socks as well. So happy. So happy. I just have to smell the yarn. Oh, so good. Alright. So, I mentioned earlier that 2 of my friends, Carolyn and Kate, are opening a yarn shop, or I should say they have opened a yarn shop, and it is in downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. It's a cute little store. They have a lot of beautifully hand-dyed yarns, a little bit of commercial dyed yarns as well, but they're really trying to focus on local and indie-made yarns. So they have some from Wisconsin, from Minnesota, from Illinois, kind of the Midwest. They have some natural yarn that has been raised and milled like just outside of this area, and they're just really being conscious of where things are coming from, which I think is really cool. And I decided to go down there today. It's their first day being officially opened. They are not doing their grand opening until Saturday, so by the time this goes out, I'm hoping it goes out tonight or tomorrow, so Tuesday or Wednesday. By the time this goes out, you will still have a chance to go down to their grand opening, and they're giving away prizes, and it's just going to be, you know, really fun. Meet new people, meet new knitting friends, go down there and hang out and do some knitting. So yeah, so I went down there and I picked myself up some special things. So along with yarny, beautiful, yarny goodness, they also have a lot of notions, some cute little bags, handmade little project, or not project bags, but tool bags that are really beautiful. They have stitch markers, you know, all sorts of things like that. And they also have these cute buttons. And I had to get a few of them. So Seaver and I actually stopped in there yesterday because we were out and about doing a little bit of hiking before he had to go to work that night. He's working a 3rd shift, by the way, which kind of stinks. But you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So he was spending kind of the afternoon with me, and then he was going to drive back down to Middleton so that he could work that night. And so we were doing some hiking, and we just decided to kind of look in and see if the girls were there. And they were, and they let us come in. And so I was looking around, and I saw a couple of these, and I thought to myself, I have to get those when I go in on Monday, or Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. And the first one that I really, really love is La Crosse Knit Sconsin. And it's just silly and cute, and I won't be living in the area anymore, so I needed to have this one to remind me. It's not like I'm moving halfway across the world. I have to remind myself this. I could easily come back for the day. The second one I picked up because it's, you know, kind of a cute souvenir of their new shop. Is the name of it is Unwound, and yeah, they had these custom made buttons. And then I was just gonna get those 2, and then I saw this one. I need this one. obviously you just saw me do it. It says Wool Sniffer. So cute. So I was actually having a conversation recently with someone who is a kind of fairly new knitter, I think. Just kind of getting into the knitting world, meeting other knitters, and she kind of embarrassingly admitted that she sniffs her yarn. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, so do I. So does she. So does he. Like, we all do it. That's just a thing. And yeah, so I was laughing about that, and then when I saw this button, I thought, yes, this is a must. Because it's so true. It has, some yarns have a very woolly smell, and that's lovely, and then some of them have more of a vinegary smell from the dye process, and that's lovely. And then some of them smell like whatever the dyer has rinsed it in, and sometimes it's like a fragrant, you know, scent. Oh, and that smells lovely. Yeah, it's always a good thing. So I got those, and those will be going on my tool bag with some of my other buttons. A few others there you can see. So that's exciting. Add to it. And I had to get a little bit of yarn as well. I know, look at my face. I'm like, not like I have enough to move. I had to add this to the mix. So this is a custom colorway that is dyed for them by a dyer down in Arizona, I think. New Mexico, Arizona? I think it's Arizona. I could be wrong. But this is from Dye Monkey Yarns, and it is exclusive to Unwound, and it is called Coffee with Carolyn and Kate. There's the name of the colorway there. Unwound exclusive colorway on her Tap Monkey base, which is, I think, yeah, 75/25 merino nylon. 463 yards. Generous. So I had seen kind of a sneak peek of this when I was hanging out with them last week, 2 weeks ago, and she had sent this as a gift to Carolyn, a skein of her own of this one, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I kind of badgered her about whether or not this was going to be sold at the shop, and they assured me that yes, it was, and that I didn't need to, you know, get all worked up about it, but I definitely had to claim a skein of this for my own. It's just so beautiful. And it's cool because it's named after my friends, and it's named after their, you know, their new shop, and yeah, it's just really exciting. So yeah, so that's Dye Monkey Yarns. Ah, you can see the price there too. So this was bought with a little bit of birthday money that I got and was kind of saving away. And I didn't spend all of it, but it was just a little piece of it, and I thought it was special enough to, yeah, to be okay. So yes, Dye Monkey Yarns, go on her website. She has some beautiful yarn. She sells on Etsy, I believe. And then if you're in the La Crosse area, Carolyn and Kate do have more of her yarn. It's not just exclusive colorways. She has a couple. There's 2 or 3 exclusive colorways to their shop, and then otherwise she has just others that she dyes on a regular basis that she sent them. So yes, and they will be getting more. I think Carolyn said they wanted to put another order in so that it would be ready within a few weeks, because it does, you know, of course, take a while. They're, you know, they're hand dyed, they're indie dyed, so yeah. So I'm very excited for this. It's a very special skein, and when I'm in my new home, a couple hours away from here, I will remember my friends, and it'll put a smile on my face. So yes, so go check out their new shop. It's just exciting to have another independent yarn store in the area, And La Crosse has needed one, I think, for a very long time. Yarnology is close enough that people can drive up and come to it. It's about 30 minutes, 35 minutes away. But, you know, local yarn stores are always a good thing. So the more the merrier, in my opinion. And yeah, I just really hope that we can all work together. And even though I'm not going to be at Yarnology for very much longer, I will always be a yarnologist. And I will always come back and help out, and you know, I'm hoping to do events and do classes, and if all the yarn shops in the area can work together and put on some really fun events and do some really fun things together, I think that's what it's all about. It's about community, it's about bringing people together, it's about making friends and just having this amazing craft in our lives. And there's room for so many people in this industry. It just keeps growing. I think it's amazing. I think everybody should knit. I think everybody should buy yarn and just, yeah, I just think it's wonderful. So congratulations to them, and I hope it's just everything they've hoped for. So I think that's about it from me. I really hope that you all have had a fantastic weekend and a great start to your week. Keep plugging away. You're almost to the end of it. Wish me luck on the move. I think it'll be great, but there will be some growing pains. And if you have suggestions on fun things to do in the area, whether they're yarn related or not, let me know. And if any of you live in the Madison area, let me know. I'm going to be looking for some new knitting friends, so look me up. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you just make this week wonderful, do things that make your heart happy, and I'll talk to you again very, very soon. Bye.